A major shakeup the Dodgers could make to their lineup that could boost the bottom of that lineup. Also, you got a big injury update Tuesday. Last night, the Dodgers get a walk-off with Tommy Edman. Talk to him in the Dodgers clubhouse. All that more coming up next on Dodgers Dugout Live.
It's time for Dodger baseball.
Welcome to Dodger Stadium.
This is the golden age of Dodger baseball. The Dodgers are building a dynasty.
You got it, Warrior Parade. We got it, Parade. The Dodgers punch back and head to the championship series. Ohtani starts the 50-50 club. Mookie Magic. Freeman hits the ball. Right field. She is gone. Start the party, Los Angeles. Your Dodgers have won the World Series.
Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
What is up, Dodgers Nation, and welcome to another episode of Dodgers Dugout Live, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. If you haven't yet, do me a huge favor. Hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, hit the like button. Also, if you are new to Discord or you have not tried Discord, I highly recommend doing so. And if you join that Discord channel, you can interact with us. You can interact with me. The Dodgers Nation VIP access is $6.99 a month. Highly recommend them. I'm always posting stuff from the stadium. I'm interacting. We got giveaways, behind-the-scenes stuff, merch, and more. Also, my other channel, The Big Lead, would appreciate if you guys subscribe to that. It's the hottest stories in sports. But, guys, lots to get into. We're talking about the Dodgers roster today, a lineup shakeup they could make. And also, I got my man Casey Porter from Dodgers Daily. He's going to join us later to talk about some of the emerging prospects. Also, an update about Hyeseong Kim. Could Hyeseong Kim have an impact on this team this season? We'll talk about that. Alex Freeland's raking down there, so we'll get into that in a little bit. But first, every episode of Dodgers Dugout Live starts with the leadoff.
Leading off, the hottest story in Dodger baseball.
So the hottest story in Dodger baseball is, well, this Dodgers team, they come back again. They beat the Marlins after blowing a 5-run lead. Anthony Bonda gave up the grand slam after Dustin May went out there and really pitched well for the most part. For sure, he was not happy about his outing after the game. I will say that when it comes to Dustin May. He was not thrilled with the way he pitched, and I was a little surprised because he definitely is someone that I think is kind of on the mend to the point where he just feels like, hey, I'm happy to be an everyday big league pitcher, a guy that can go out when it's his turn in the rotation, go out there and deal. He ends up giving up 3 runs on 5 hits, went 5 1/3 innings, had 3 walks and 3 strikeouts, need 83 pitches to get that 5 1/3 innings. So I actually thought really, for the most part, it was a good start for Dustin May. Of course, those 2 runs were charged to him after Anthony Bonda gave up that grand slam, but D. May was not thrilled about his outing, and here was him from the Dodgers clubhouse.
Dustin, how'd you feel out there as far as getting those quick outs early on and up into the 6th inning?
It was okay. I mean, it wasn't great overall.
Did you feel like Ramirez was going to be were you aware of the fact that Ramirez may have been your last hitter in that 6th inning?
Possibly, but I wasn't sure.
How bad did you guys need this win after giving up the lead the way you guys did?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge that not giving up 5 or giving up 5 in an inning is never a good thing, and then being able to come back and win is good.
What's the most frustrating part about your outing tonight? You don't seem that thrilled about the way things went.
Finish sucked, so that was just not good for me.
After the rough one in Chicago, what was the focus getting ready for this? Were there adjustments or anything?
I mean, not really. I mean, it was just kind of going to execute more throws, and I really didn't. So just got away with a lot of stuff.
That's the toughest part for you, is not finishing after the first 5 innings were going for you so well?
I mean, they didn't really go that well. I mean, I still wasn't really executing very well at all. Just got away with some stuff. They hit some stuff at guys. They hit balls very hard. I mean, they left a lot of stuff in the middle of that.
Thank you.
So yeah, he did have some hard contact, 4 balls with an exit velocity over 100 miles per hour in just the first 2 innings alone. And he did work a scoreless outing until he came out there in the 6th, and he gave up a couple of singles, and then he issued a walk before leaving with 1 out. And then Anthony Bondic came in and he walked the first batter he faced, and he gave a pinch hit grand slam to Myers. That did tie things up at 5. So 3 of those runs, those were charged to Dustin May, and he walked those 3 batters for the 4th time in 5 starts this season. So that's the thing you want to see with Dustin May, is to try to improve that walk rate, a 10.5% walk rate. And that's an area where he has been pretty solid throughout his career. I mean, he's had stints where he has had high walks, but then before kind of the first Tommy John surgery, that was not something that really was his big issue. So, yeah, I mean, I still think it's encouraging. It's thinking you look at where the Dodgers starters are at right now, the fact that Dustin May is being able to post and make his turn to the rotation, going at least 5, considering all the injuries, is definitely a good thing for sure. But that was the 13th pinch hit grand slam in Dodger Stadium history. First time since J.D. Davis remembers that back in 2023 from the Giants. By the way, the last pinch hit grand slam by the Dodgers, who was it? I bet you guys can guess this. Manny Ramirez. Bobblehead night against the Reds, July 22nd, 2009. Great memory, Manny Ramirez. But thankfully, this Dodgers team, like they've done all season long, they managed to come back and get the win. And Tommy Edman did not start the game, but he comes in there in the 8th, pinch hits, and then finds himself in a situation where he's at the plate with Michael Conforto being the Manfred man to open the 10th inning. Kike Hernandez dropped his 2nd sack bunt of the last 8 years. He hasn't done it in a long time, and that puts runners in a position where, hey, if he gets a base hit, they can not only tie it, but they can win this. And Tommy Edman did what he's done all season, and that is step up in a big spot for this team. He didn't start the game, but Tommy Edman, he finished the game.
Down the line, base hit Tommy Edman. Throw comes home, not in time. Tommy Tanks delivers.
Tommy Tanks delivers. The Dodgers get the win, and Tommy Edman had been struggling for the last 7 or 8 games. I asked Dave Roberts before the game about Tommy Edman and why he was sitting, and he said, hey, it was his first day off all year, and that he had been grinding of late, and that he was trying to get back to being the hitter that he was for the start of the season. So to see Tommy Edman get that big hit, he was hitting 160 in his last 7 games. I think that's the biggest key to Tommy Edman. It's just kind of minimizing any slumps you have. Not all hitters are going to be hot at the same time. Not all of them are going to be cold, but that is the key to being a great hitter in Major League Baseball. You try to keep those hot streaks as hot as you can for as long as you can, and you try to minimize those cold streaks. But I asked Tommy Edman after the game from the Dodgers clubhouse, hey, how big is that walk-off hit to just kind of get right, lock back in after going a little over a week where he had been slumping a little bit?
And then Tommy, Dave said you've been maybe grinding just a little bit. How much does a swing like that, a moment like that, kind of lock you back in?
Yeah, it feels good to, get that walk off in front of the home crowd. Just being able to put a good swing on that one, get the ball off the ground a little bit, and definitely helps out with the confidence, and hopefully can continue it tomorrow.
Tommy Edman, just what a pickup. He's been fantastic defensively. The bat has been better than we thought it was going to be, and it's great to see him have that big moment to really go on another run. Now, looking at this Dodgers offense, this is not the Dodgers offense that we've seen the last couple of seasons, right? The walks have been down. It's been inconsistent towards the bottom, although they have improved of late. They're 5th in the National League with 4.83 runs scored per game. They have a 115 OPS plus. I mean, that's third, which is not bad for sure. You had the 46 home runs that leads all of Major League Baseball, which you can look at it as that's great. Teoscar Hernandez hit another bomb yesterday. It was his third straight game with a home run. But you can also look at it as, okay, if over 50% of your runs are coming via that home run ball, if guys start to slump and you're not getting the slug, how does that impact your offense? And then you look at towards the bottom of the line. I mean, Max Muncy had another couple of hits yesterday. He's certainly trending in the right direction, but still has yet to hit a home run. I mean, he's got 100 plate appearances without a home run. The previous longest drought was 79. So he definitely have a little power outage at the moment, has raised that batting average a little bit to 188. The weighted runs created plus is 64. But I'm not worried about Max Muncy. I really am not. I think that, well, I am worried, but I don't think they're going to move off of Max Muncy, at least until the deadline or something. If he just continued this level of play, they're going to give him a long time to figure this thing out because he's Max Muncy. He's been with the organization since 2018. He's made all-star teams. He's won World Series titles with this group. So they're not going to move off Max Muncy unless we're talking about a catastrophic season-long slump. I think it really could just take one home run, hopefully, for Muncy because he still is above average in hard hit percentage and barrel percentage and things like that. So you hope that things will turn around for Max, and if things don't, maybe they'll consider making a move. But just knowing this organization like I do, they're not going to make a panic move at third for Muncy, at least right now. I mean, it would have to be months of a long, long stretch for them to consider anything with Max. Now, that does bring me to Michael Conforto, and I will say, yeah, I really was drinking the Michael Conforto Kool-Aid. I definitely was excited about the possibility of, look, JD Martinez comes here on a one-year deal a couple years ago. He makes the All-Star team. Teoscar Hernandez comes in on a one-year deal, makes the All-Star team. Michael Conforto, towards the second half of the season, was one of the best hitters at his position in the sport, and he was also playing at Oracle Park, where he's didn't have a great year offensively. 17 of his 20 home runs last season were hit outside of Oracle Park, and he had a lot of success outside of that ballpark. And just talking to Conforto before the season, he was very excited to hit at Dodger Stadium. Just the batter's eye is better, the lineup he's hitting in is better, and I'm not completely writing him off. No way, shape, or form. I mean, Michael Conforto, we saw it happen to Andy Pages, right? We saw it happen to Andy Pages. Everyone was ready to send him to Jupiter, sent him to Mars. They were ready to trade him for a bucket of baseballs, a half-eaten bag of Doritos, a Subway gift card. And what happens? He caught fire, and then all of a sudden, those numbers have really balanced out to the point where he is one of the hottest hitters, not just on the team, but in the sport. So a couple of hot weeks can really change your stat line very quickly early on in the season. And where Michael Conforto's at, he's hitting 169, a 76 weighted runs created plus, so he's 24% below league average. So if he got hot for a couple weeks, things could turn around for him very quickly. But I did want to throw out a possible lineup shakeup that the Dodgers could consider if Michael Conforto does not turn around and they don't feel like they're getting enough production out in left field. Because the truth is, what it all boils down, and you guys know, I love these players, love this team, but my job is to keep it a buck, keep it 100 with you guys. And it comes down to Michael Conforto. He has to hit at an above average level for him to be a average player for this team and be additive and be productive. That's just kind of how it works, right? He's got to hit. He's got to hit well above league average because right now he's a -3 outs above average as a defender. So he's a below average defender and a below average hitter. He has to be an above average hitter to make up for that below average defense. So if this does continue and Michael Conforto doesn't put together the season that we hope that he was supposed to and we hope that he would, well, one thing you could do is bring up James Outman. Now, James Outman had gotten off to a little bit of a slow start, but he's really started to produce down in AAA. He just earned the PCL Player of the Week, hit .462, had 12 hits, 2 home runs, 5 RBIs, 21 total bases. And yes, We know that James Outman can be streaky. We know he has power. He can hit one out, man, for sure. And we saw that in 2023 when he finished third in the Rookie of the Year. But what bringing up James Outman would do, and this is linked to the recent success of Andy Pages, is you bring up James Outman, you put him in center field, that improves your defense in center field, and then you kick out Andy Pages to left field, where he's an above-average defender. He's got a great arm. His range is better than he's given credit for. Yes, he's still working on just getting better at making reads, and that's harder to do in center field when it kind of looks like a knuckleball coming towards you. And then you have an above-average center fielder defensively in James Outman, an above-average left fielder in Michael Conforto. Oh, and then Tommy Edman can play the position that he won the Gold Glove for, and that is second base. So think about your defense all of a sudden. Mookie Betts is an above-average shortstop at this point defensively. Can you believe that? Mookie Betts, the 6-time Gold Glove Award-winning shortstop, right fielder, moves to shortstop and is playing above-average defense there at an age where most players are moving off the shortstop position. So it's still relatively a small sample size. You want to see more of it, and unfortunately, the bat has not been anywhere near the Mookie Betts bat that we see when he's right. But think about that. Outman in center. You got Pages in left. Edman at second. Mookie at short. Those are all above average defenders. And then you look at an outfield of James Outman, Andy Pages, and you got a Teoscar Hernandez who's been raking again and looks like the same guy he was last year, but even honestly a little bit better right now. So that's just a little food for thought. It's still early. I wouldn't jump the gun and panic and make that decision, but it is encouraging to see James Outman having success because James Outman is a better outfielder than Hyeseong Kim. He's a better outfielder than Andy Pages. He's a better outfielder. You can even make the case than Tommy Edman. James Outman can ball out in center field. He just has to hit. He's another lefty hitter. So Michael Conforto's a lefty. James Outman's a lefty. So it's just something to throw out there as an option if this persists. So we'll see. We'll see if anything changes there. But let's get into this week's big injury update. Then a little later, we're going to talk to Casey Porter. But here's the big injury update for this week.
Dodgers big injury update.
So the big injury update, let's start with Blake Snell. So Dave Roberts said yesterday, he told us that Blake Snell did get that cortisone shot to hopefully have that pain in his shoulder dissipate. And the good news is Dave said that there were no new findings when he underwent an additional MRI last Thursday. So right now he's not resuming any throwing program, but it's about resting. Dave Roberts said, I don't know the extent of the length of time, but just knowing that there is no damage is certainly big relief. So he's been on the IL since April 6th. It was retroactive to April 3rd. So he was throwing a bullpen session and he felt some soreness and he basically got shut down. So no new news as far as the timeline goes, but the big thing is that they didn't find anything else on the MRI, and it's probably going to be a little bit of time before we get a new update on Blake Snell because they kind of want everything to just kind of rest there and not overwork it or anything that could push the timeline even back further. So, yeah, the good news is they dodged a bullet. The worst thing that could have happened is finding something on that MRI that would lead to an extended period of time on the IL or anything shoulder surgery related. So far, so good. We'll have to wait and see, though. And then there's Tyler Glasnow. So yesterday, the Dodgers, they placed Tyler Glasnow on the 15-day IL with right shoulder inflammation. On Sunday, he left his start after throwing just 17 pitches. He went out there for the warm-up. He felt something grab, and clearly he was not right. The Dodgers, they bring back up Noah Davis, who they did option back to AAA on Saturday, but because he's replacing an injured player, they went with Noah Davis. It is a little telling that they did not go with Bobby Miller. Bobby Miller could have came back up if they were confident that he was going to make some spot starts and be able to help this team. But clearly they were elected to go Noah Davis over Bobby Miller. So we'll see what happens with Tyler Glasnow. It's still a early in the process situation where they're going to wait and see kind of what happens. He did say that he's obsessed with trying to figure out what's going on. It's been like this for a few years, and he's trying to find out a way to stay healthy. He said he'll do whatever. I just don't really have an answer right now, and I think that's the most frustrating thing. It's not lack of trying. I saw him walking out of the Dodgers clubhouse yesterday, so he's still around. I'm sure they're going to get some additional testing, and they'll take it from there. But the big thing for Tyler Glasnow, the big thing for Blake Snell is you just can't lose these guys for the entire season. Whatever it takes to make sure that these guys can give you 5 or 6 innings by the time October rolls around, you have to do that. And that means getting them back at the very least after the All-Star break so you can have some build-up in July, in August, and September. So that's just the big thing. You can't lose these two horses. So if that means shutting them down now, then that's what you have to do. You just can't risk it. Then Shohei Ohtani, who he's been thrown off a mound a couple times per week. And Dave said that even though that you've had the injuries to Blake Snell and to Tyler Glasnow and the starting rotation starting to suffer some injuries, that they are not going to rush the process or expedite the return of Shohei Ohtani. Dave said when he was asked that question, no, not at all. Said, I think Shohei is separate as far as the process. I think Gomer said it. It's a week-to-week thing. The availability of the other pitchers has no bearing on Shohei's program. And, of course, that's something you would expect. Shohei is going to be back when he's ready to be back. And where he's at right now is you are seeing some progressions for sure. I mean, he was throwing just fastballs, 2-seam, 4-seam, and cutter for a while in his bullpen sessions when he started to get back to throwing and ramping up in his throwing program. But then recently he started throwing some splitters. That was in early April. So now you've seen him throw 2-seams, 4-seams, cutters, and splitters. And the next big step is for him to use that slider. You want to see him incorporate that slider in his bullpen sessions and then face hitters. So Dave said that it's going to be a couple of months. I expect him at some point after the All-Star break. I think that's probably what they're going to do. I don't expect them to rush Shohei Ohtani back. He's still going through the process, and you just do not want to rush a guy like that because he is going to be a massive reinforcement when he's back. He is going to be big if he can pitch like he did before going down with that second injury. It will feel like the Dodgers just traded for a frontline starter. So you just got to get him back at 100% healthy. And also, look, don't forget, he's coming back off the labrum surgery. He's coming back off of having his first kid. Look, I was thinking about this when I was wondering if Shohei was going to talk to us last night. And Shohei has not spoke to reporters since he rejoined the team after having his first kid, after having his daughter, him and his wife, Mamiko. So he has not really spoken to reporters. So it sounds to me like they're trying to give him as much time and space. They know that the sleep schedules get out of whack when you have kids. So I think that they're considering everything when it comes to Shohei and making sure the process of him getting back is not impacted by any of this stuff. The surgery to the labrum, having a kid, the injuries to the Dodgers bullpen, the injuries to the Dodgers starting rotation, all that stuff. You just have to make sure he's 100% healthy and ready to go, and that's what they are going to do. And then Clayton Kershaw, his last start, he went 3 innings for AA Tulsa. It was his second rehab start. He gave up 1 run on 4 hits and 1 walk, had a really nice line, honestly. Struck out 4. So he's going to be back at some point in May, the middle to the end of May, the full-blown rehab situation for him down in Tulsa. And then before that, in his first rehab start, he went 3 scoreless innings for AAA Oklahoma City. So he's going to be back middle towards the end of May, recovering from that toe surgery, from the knee surgery. The arm feels really, really good. They're going to need Clayton Kershaw. So the starting rotation, it's a little thin. That dream rotation, the murders rotation that we talk so much about, is looking thin. And the question I have is, who's going to be that workhorse? I mean, last year you had Paxton, and yeah, he was never going to make the postseason roster, but he's the guy that was going to be that workhorse, that innings eater. You had Tyler Anderson a few years ago, someone that you weren't expecting to give the ball to games 1 or 2 in a postseason series, but who's going to be that workhorse? Because I'm going to give you one number that you need to know today. The number that you need to know today is 126. 126. As in, the Dodgers bullpen has pitched 126 innings this season so far. That is the most in all of Major League Baseball. This Dodgers bullpen is getting worked harder than Panda Express employees after a Dodgers win. Okay? You just cannot have that. It's not sustainable. Yes, there was a lot of days off throughout the season, but that is not the case right now. You're going to a stretch, 19 games, 20 days, long stretches coming up. You need that bullpen as fresh as possible. And you have Yamamoto going deeper into games, and he's at a Yamamoto's at a point where they're not going to always pitch him on the 6 days rest. You're going to see him go to the 5 days rest like he did last year. Yamamoto actually pitched 11 times with 5 days rest. So they're going to stretch him out a little more, pitch on less days rest. Same with Roki Sasaki. He's someone that wants to go 5 innings per start, and he wants to commit that. So the Glasnow and the Blake Snell injuries, they loom large. And then when Clayton Kershaw comes back, and the other one we have to talk about is Tony Gonsolin. So Tony Gonsolin, he's going to be on the mound Wednesday. So hopefully Tony Gonsolin can just hit the ground running. And, hey, even if it's not perfect, if he's out there on the mound, okay, I'm going to give myself a bruh. Give myself a bruh for that. I'll give myself a bruh. He's out there on the mound. What are you talking about, man? Bruh. But if he's out there on the mound, he's having success, well, hey, that's going to help this team because you need someone like Tony Gonsolin to be that guy this year that can eat those innings and really give this bullpen some relief. Yes, Anthony Bonda hasn't had a great year. Kirby Yates has had some moments. All these guys have had some ups and downs, but a lot of that is the fact that they've been pitching too much. So that's the number to know today. Okay, a couple questions here, and then we're going to bring in my man Casey Porter, talk about Hyeseong Kim, talk about Alex Freeland, some of these Dodgers prospects. Hey, I love me some Casey Porter, man. He's a good friend for sure. But yep, guys, welcome to Dodgers Dugout Live. If you're just joining us, the #1 Dodgers show and podcast on YouTube. And yeah, what are your thoughts on the bullpen? What are your thoughts on the rotation? Are you concerned about where the Dodgers are at right now from a innings pitched standpoint? Is that something that keeps you up at night? Because for me, it certainly does. We got Brian S., the Age of Conspirious. It's a fire take. I love that. It's a nice little comment of the show. We give you some love for that. He's going to be stretched out. We got Paul Gutierrez, D-Mac, are Stone, River Ryan, and Sheehan pitching this season. So good question, Paul. We'll get to that for the injury update as well. Emmett Sheehan is an interesting one because he got his Tommy John surgery early in the season. It was early in the season. So he should be able to go. I mean, of course, this is last year. He should be able to go at some point, June, July, kind of towards the All-Star break is kind of when he'll start his throwing program. He went on the IL on March 18th, and he had that Tommy John surgery in May. So you got to think about sometime towards the All-Star break. Kyle Hurt got his Tommy John last year too. So he's late in 2025. But River Ryan, he's going to be out the entire season. Same with Gavin Stone's going to be out the entire season with a shoulder injury. Michael Kopech, he's ramping up, by the way, with his bullpen usage. The progression for him is trending in the right direction. He could face hitters as early as this week. So expect Michael Kopech back at some point in May. Okay, so who else we got here? We've got great comeback last night. Absolutely. Yeah, Stone's not coming back this year. Lineup is a much bigger problem. We got Crypto Bill, Max Fried, and Walker Buehler are playing for the Dodgers this season in an alternate universe. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, look, give Max Fried credit for sure. Got off to a really nice start. Walker Buehler is pitching pretty well for the Red Sox for sure. So is with Jack Flaherty. But the Dodgers went with the guys with the highest upsides, the highest ceilings. And right now, it's kind of biting them in the butt. But we'll see if they can get healthy, because if they can, that's certainly the play. But all right, guys, got my man Casey Porter from Dodgers Daily. We're going to talk some Hyeseong Kim, some Alex Freeland, some Jackson Ferris, some Dalton Rushing, and also a prospect who's taking the farm system by storm. You have to get to know this guy. Here's my man Casey Porter. And today, joining me is my friend. You know him, you love him, you always request him, the great Casey Porter. He's forgotten more baseball than most people will ever know. After the show, don't walk, run to his YouTube channel, Dodgers Daily, and his podcast, and be sure to give it a subscribe. Go to X. You can follow him at Dodgers Daily. The guy I really want to talk to you about is Hyeseong Kim. I mean, you talk about getting comments. I get asked about him all the time. I think there's just the fact that the Dodgers surprisingly, shockingly got him late, and he's a Korean star that he starts in the minor league level. They talked about the swing changes that he made. I remember talking to him and asked him, hey, what's the number one thing? He said, hey, I always think about big league velocity. And when he goes to sleep at night, he's asking himself, can I hit big league velocity? And yes, AAA is not the major league level, but so far I think you have to be surprised with the slugging. I mean, he's slugging .474, 4 home runs, 2 doubles, and 3 triples. But just what have you seen from him at the plate as a hitter? And are you too surprised with his ability to slug down in AAA?
Yeah, and too, also, I know AAA, the PCL, there's a lot of thin air, like they're in Salt Lake right now. And Dalton Rushing got 4 hits. And I just addressed that in my post. Like, don't even go there that it's thin air. Just look at the 4 hits he got. I think that one went back to Albuquerque. I mean, yes, it's thin air, but the 4 hits that he had last night were all, it wouldn't have mattered where, if it was Yellowstone, they would have all been hits in those. So the Dodgers have played like in Round Rock and Sugar Land and some games at home. So this has not been thin air related for the most part for Hyeseong Kim. I'm not super excited about the power aspect of it, because that's just, to me, he has that pinwheel swing. I've showed that on my social media before, where if you think of a pinwheel going around like this, that's kind of how his barrel comes through the zone, which to me, just watching that from an analytical perspective, I just wonder how he's going to handle the high pitch. I mean, I know with that pinwheel swing, if you throw him down and in, he's going to be able to lift that ball, and that's where he's going to get his power from. Now, he has hit a couple of home runs on fastballs in the 94, 95 up in the zone, which is a really good thing to see. It's a lot harder for him to get to that pitch, though. So the OPS is 785. He's been just about exactly a league average player. And so the way that I kind of put Hyeseong Kim is the Dodgers did not miss on this guy. He is a sweet defensive player. Doesn't matter where you put him. I think he's best at shortstop. I know he's made some errors and hey, the season just got started, so the fielding percentage doesn't look great at shortstop, fine, whatever. But just the way that he fields the ball, the way he transitions, the way he cuts his throw off to first base, and then the arm strength, I think he could easily play shortstop. And I think his offensive profile, what he should be as an offensive player, well, I think that fits better into a lineup at the shortstop position versus at the center field position, where I think you're going to need somebody that maybe is more of an offensive player that can hit home runs. And I know that sounds weird, because that's like probably the thing that Hyeseong Kim has done the best. But I mean, I think we'd have to all agree that this is something that you wouldn't expect like to continue at this rate. The Hyeseong Kim that I would like to see is a guy that's peppering the ball over the shortstop's head on line drives, guy that's getting on base, a high on base guy that's stealing bases, a guy that's using his speed and being that winning baseball plays type of guy, similar to what we see quite a bit from Tommy Edman. That's the type of now, I know Tommy Edman's hit a lot of home runs too, but you get my drift in terms of the winning baseball plays part of it. That's the Hyeseong Kim I think is the best version offensively. And I think that profile fits better at the shortstop spot.
Yeah, I mean, as you point out, I mean, the power, it's tough to imagine that translating like it has at the minor level if he got an extended run in the show. And look, the most home runs he's ever hit in a season is 11, but I don't need him to hit 11. I need him to hit 306 like he has in his KBO career, right? And
100%.
And like, I think that is his ticket. I mean, you can talk about the defense, you can talk about the base running, but if you can't get on base, you can't be that second kind of leadoff hitter potentially for Shohei Ohtani and put some ducks on the pond. He's not going to have a ton of value at this level. So I think that's kind of the big question. But to me, it almost feels like he's the backup quarterback on a team, right? There's no one more popular than the backup quarterback. And when Pages struggles, when Chris Taylor struggles, when Kike struggles, when some of these guys struggle, it's going to be Hyeseong Kim, a guy that's never played at this level, that's going to come up and save the bottom of the Dodgers lineup. It's kind of sounds to me that you almost have to like temper your expectations when it comes to Kim, just because he's a complete unknown and baseball's an incredibly hard sport and it's a massive jump.
Yeah, and a couple things about that. First of all, he came from the KBL, which is quite a bit of a step down from the Nippon Baseball League. So we've seen Yoshinobu Yamamoto, plug and play. Obviously, you see Shohei Ohtani, pretty darn good, right? Rookie Sasaki, plug and play. So then you hear Hyeseong Kim. You got to realize it was a totally different league that he played in. I think Dodgers fans had a massively overrated view of his plug and play ability at the moment. There was always going to be a transition period between the league that he played in and coming to the United States, which is why I said from the start, this guy's going to start in AAA. I think he's going to be there for a while. And not only do I think that, I think that's what's best for him, because there are several different transition periods that you're going to have to make. It's like the James Outman thing. Hey, it's one thing to come out and hit, for the first 2 or 3 weeks, hit some home runs. Okay, man, let's see if you can do it over 3 months, over several different types of pitchers. So, I mean, there is a transition period that he's going through, but I would agree with you there. I think I'll say this, I think Dodgers fans overrated the plug and play ability of him based on his past experience. I think some of the success the Dodgers have had in the Asian market kind of aided to that. But the comment that I make on him the most is, trust me, the Dodgers did not miss on this guy. This guy is really good. He's going to be a good player. I know he's already 26. They did not miss on this guy. It's just going to take longer than what fans thought it was going to, because I don't think fans had a realistic expectation of where he was actually at when he came over here.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that it's still a work in progress. And I think that you have to also remind yourself, they got him for $12.5 million guaranteed. Yes. If they pick up the options, it's $22 million for 5 years. I mean, this guy was 100% worth it, and you don't need to rush him through to see if he can be a part of the future of your ball club this season. So you look at the defense, you look at the base running, you look at the potential to just kind of get bat to ball. It's really enticing, but I do want to see more from Andy Pages. And if Andy Pages doesn't work out, I want to see almost them exploring the trade market with like a Luis Robert Jr. or something like that, versus, okay, we're just going to give the future of this position to Hyeseong Kim, right? And someone I think that really profiles more as an infielder kind of as a whole. But I want to switch gears to Alex Freeland, because a lot of people are hyped about Alex Freeland. I talked to him during spring training. This guy felt like a big leaguer, kind of sounded like a big leaguer, kind of sounded like a guy that was just biding his time down there and waiting for his opportunity. But offensively, he's gotten out to a really great start.
He certainly has. 316 OPS, 866. So he's second in the Pacific Coast League. That's the PCL. So if I say PCL, that means Pacific Coast League. That's the league that the Oklahoma City, are they the baseball club? The Comets, Oklahoma City Comets. They changed the name. They were the 89ers. In my lifetime, they've been the 89ers. They've been the Red Hawks. They've been the Dodgers. They've been the baseball club. Five different names. So they're the Comets now. I like the name. That's a nice name. So second in the PCL in hits with 31. He's first in the PCL in doubles with 12. And he's fourth in the PCL in RBIs at 21. So here is the interesting part of that. You could kill two birds with one stone. Max Muncy, and hey, I'm a little more old school. I like the batting average, the getting on base, the bat to ball. The Max Muncy profile is hard for a guy like me to embrace, because there's so much swing and miss. But then when you look at it at the end of the day, it's like, well, yeah, but there's so much damage he did. But But for an older school guy like me that grew up in the 80s and 90s, I accept it, and I love Max. I certainly love his mentality. I got to see him at Baylor. He came to Oklahoma State in a weekend in Stillwater and went like 19 for 21 and hit like 17 home runs, something. I'm obviously exaggerating, but I knew he could hit even back then. So I say that to say that, he struggled this year. There's no doubt about it. And there's two things that players never get away with or get away from. It's either talent level, the talent level catches up and you just can't compete anymore because the people around you are more talented than you are, or Mother Time. And so when you ask the question, is Mother Time catching up to somebody like Max Muncy? I don't know. We won't know the answer to that question till what, July, something like that. So here's the deal with Alex Freeland. I say all that to say he's played 7 games at third base, 17 at shortstop. I posted his play at third base the other day, the way he came in on a ball, the way he went behind the bag. He is a tremendous athlete. He's a guy that has a good, strong arm. He steals over 30 bases every year. That goes to show the athletic ability. The arm strength is good. So if you bring an Alex Freeland up, of course, remember, he's not on the 40-man roster, so somebody has to get DFA'd and taken off the 40-man. So it's a mess to get him on the roster. That's another thing about Dalton Rushing, too. It's a lot easier just to bring up a Hunter Fiducia or a James Outman or somebody who's on the 40-man at that point to kind of fill in the short-term needs. But Alex Freeland could possibly fill in, kill 2 birds with 1 stone, something Hyeseong Kim can do, but not at the shortstop and third base position. Alex Freeland can play both spots on the field on the left side. I think one thing a lot of Dodgers fans are worried about with Mookie Betts, we all know he's going to figure out how to be a league average shortstop defensively. It's Mookie Betts. He's going to do that. He's not going to suck at anything he does. Doesn't matter what he does. He's going to figure it out. What I worry about with Mookie Betts is the wear down factor. That is a very taxing position. I think it's going to affect his offense more than it is his defense, how taxing the shortstop spot is. So you could come in and maybe figure out the third base spot with Alex Freeland and then also give Mookie Betts maybe some time to make sure that he maps out his pacing guide, if you will, to become the best offensive version that he possibly can be. But I'm kind of getting out in the weeds there with Alex Freeland. But what you need to know about him is that he is a really good player. He's off to a great start. And the thing about him is he's putting the ball in play more. He's had the one thing, if you were to say what would keep Alex Freeland from being a really good major league player, it's the strikeout rates. It's the James Outman thing. If he can figure out how to put the ball in play, that's Jose Ramos in AA this year. It's why he's killing it so far. If he can figure out how to keep the walk rates, I'm not asking for anything great. Hey, 25%. Give me what Jose Ramos is at right now. Give me 23%, and let's go to the party, right? I think if we can, and he's been better than that so far. If he can do that kind of thing, he's going to be a good Major League Baseball player.
And the thing about Alex Freeland, I mean, he's been a doubles machine this year.
Mm-hmm.
He has some power, can hit for average. And just at what point, if you're the Dodgers, do you kind of ask yourself like, this guy is on the decline and it doesn't look like he's going to level up to where he was earlier in his career? And are they having those conversations about Max Muncy internally? I still think it is relatively early when you're talking about 23 games into a season.
100%.
But and honestly, he's still above average when it comes to hard hit rate and barrel rate and things like that. But the strikeout rate's been up significantly. He is in his longest drought without hitting a home run at 85 plate appearances. His previous was 79. He looks like mentally he's frustrated out there. And then you combine the fact that hasn't hit lefties the last couple of seasons. The defense is below average. At some point, I mean, you have to ask yourself, hey, when are we going to develop that next homegrown position player Dodger? And is it okay? Everyone is an MVP for another franchise, and then they become a Dodger, Shohei, Mookie, Freddie, and all these different position players? Or do you kind of make a bold move at some point and say, we are going to maneuver a way to get Alex Freeland on the 40-man roster? I mean, they DFA'd Eddie Rosario. They've got DFA candidates that they can definitely make it happen. And if they felt like he could be an answer, I think they could. But defensively, do you think he best profiles as a third baseman or outfielder? I mean, where do you think his best position is? I remember talking to him during spring training. He told me about 15 times he wanted to be a shortstop. So,
absolutely.
I mean, that's definitely the glamour position. That's where everyone wants to be at. But where do you see his best fit defensively? And do you think that from a glove work standpoint, he can be average at third base?
Oh, there's no question. He could be above average at third base. He has the athletic ability. He has the arm strength. He's one of the most mentally tough. I mean, he's so competitive. Matter of fact, sometimes he's so competitive that it almost gets in his way. One of those types of competitive mentalities. And he is, well, you've met him, Doug. He's on a mission. I mean, he has what I call that is the major league mission. I mean, it's like you talk to the guy and he's, like you said, he's just kind of renting time here and there just to get to the main goal. It's like, well, I'm just kind of here just to get to the major leagues. So there's absolutely no question whatsoever that the arm strength is there, the athletic ability is there, the glove work is there. But then he's such a good athlete. He has such a good arm, and he's such a hard worker. Do you wonder if, well, am I wasting all of that athletic ability? A guy who can steal 30 bases on a third baseman. I mean, that guy needs to be playing the middle of the infield, covering the most amount of ground for my defense. And so that's kind of the debate you have there. He's played the most at shortstop. He played shortstop at UCF. They cleared the way last year for like Noah Miller and him and all the different guys who actually were shortstops to not have to split time so he could play shortstop there. If you remember, he came up to Oklahoma City right when the Dodgers traded Trey Sweeney, and that was to keep him away from Noah Miller so they could all both have 100% time at shortstop. So the Dodgers have primed him squarely to be a shortstop in this system. So I think if it is a third base type of deal, it's one of those deals that you do it long enough to get through maybe a season, you reevaluate it after that year.
And he's a switch hitter. And I mean, he does have more impact from the left side. Am I right?
Well, yeah, because that's the side that, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, in college, what is 85, 90% of the pitchers that you're facing are right-handed. Yeah. So, I mean, it's who knows? But all I know is that he's faced a lot more right-handers, which is why even guys that are naturally right-handed hitters, a lot of times they become a better hitter from the left side just because, I mean, it's like anything else. The more you do something, the better you get at it.
Yeah, I just feel like, I mean, if it's an above average defender, a guy that profiles to be like a 20 homer guy with doubles in there, I mean, it'd be bold. It'd definitely be bold for sure. And it would definitely shake up that clubhouse. I'm not saying that it's time to pull the trigger on that, but it does make you wonder if Alex Freeland is starting to kind of make them have conversations based on his play and how the current roster looks. Because look, I mean, it's gotta be frustrating, right? You're down there, you're raking, you're 23, and in most organizations, like you would already been called up and getting your opportunity. I mean, how do you think most guys take that? Guys like Alex Freeland, knowing that that is what they're faced with.
Well, they know that every club in the organization, that's why periodically I did about 4 or 5 posts the other day of like Gavin Lux and Yorbit Vivas and Justin Hageman made his major league debut the other day. I do that just to show, you know, the Nick Nastrini got traded to the White Sox a couple of years ago, and he got to make his major league debut. Jordan Leisure, all these guys. Nick Robertson got traded, and he's to the St. Louis. He's since been traded again, and Brian Hudson and these guys. So I say that to say they know every club in the organization in Major League Baseball is watching them every time they go out. So yes, do you want to make the major leagues with the Dodgers? Of course, that's the organization you're in. These are your boys. These are the boys you grew up playing professional baseball with. But the goal is to get to the major leagues. So if you become a trade piece and you get sent even to the Chicago White Sox, where, I mean, people are like, well, Miguel Vargas would rather be in AAA Oklahoma City than he would be in Chicago playing at the major league. No, I don't care how crappy the major league team is. These guys want to be in the major leagues, period. And I don't care if it's with the Angels playing or the A's playing in a AAA facility. First of all, the money is so much different. It's unbelievable.
We can just stop right there. Okay. You know, it's the money for sure, but it's the big leagues, man. It's the big league ballparks. I laugh when I hear that argument too. And I get what they're saying, obviously, because of, I mean, the resources, how well the farm system is put together, and you want to wait for your opportunity at this level. But the truth is, I mean, these guys, they need reps and experience. And look, you could be the best hitter down in AAA for years and years and years. I mean, we've seen James Outman, right? I mean, you need those reps. You need the chance to fail again, and make those adjustments back when they adjust to you. That brings me to Dalton Rushing. Because look, I'm just going to keep saying it until it happens. He's going to be on the postseason roster. I don't know how we're going to get it done, but the way that I love how he had the platinum sombrero 5 strikeout game, and in the next game he had 4 hits. I think that kind of says a lot about just one, baseball, but two, kind of the mental toughness of someone like a Dalton Rushing. But he feels like someone that is kind of has like a one-way ticket to the show, and once he gets here, he's never going to look back. But then there's the whole issue with, okay, you got Will Smith behind the dish, the 10-year contract, Austin Barnes as the backup catcher, but he has played some outfield this season. Do you think there's a world where, let's say, things don't work out with Michael Conforto, Chris Taylor kind of is Chris Taylor at this stage of his career? Do you think that Dalton Rushing makes a push to possibly be an outfielder in the postseason for this team?
I don't see that world at all. I mean, if they had any plans for him whatsoever to help the major league club in June, in just some random game in June, he'd be getting reps in left field. It's not as easy as it looks. I'm just telling you. They moved him back to catcher because the hit tool is great. The arm is good throwing down to second base. The athletic ability is good. The care factor that you see is off the charts. I mean, it's Pete Rose good in terms of the care factor. All that stuff's great. But the best quality of Dalton Rushing is his competitive nature and the way that he holds his pitchers accountable. Just talk to the pitchers that throw to Dalton Rushing, and they will tell you he makes them better because he does not allow them to kind of drift in and out of focus. They have to be in 100% compete mode at all times, or he's going to let them know about it. So I think I've said it even when they moved to left field. Hey, you're removing one of his biggest qualities, and that is to impact the way that the pitchers throw when you're taking. So you're kind of making it a transactional situation instead of allowing him to kind of be that lead, that Pete Rose type leader on the field. So I don't have any inside information, but I wasn't surprised when they moved him back to catcher because of all of those intangible factors that are very real with him. And so the left field deal, I mean, it wasn't like catastrophic or anything, but it's not major league level. And whenever he finished last year, he hasn't done it since then. So I think it would take 2-3 months just to get ready to play a solid left field at the major league level in a random game in June, nonetheless a playoff scenario. I'd be sweating bullets with a guy out there that has never played left field, as much trust as I have in Dalton Rushing. If you put that
spot for him, it's a tough spot for him. And I think too, I mean, look, I will say this, Austin Barnes, he was on the roster for the postseason. He had exactly 0 at bats. Okay. Yeah. So there's no reason to think that Dalton Rushing can come up and not even play a position, but be on this roster as a bench bat or provide offense that way. Yeah, but right. It's got to be pretty discouraging. I remember I was talking to Dalton back during spring training, and one thing he told me was that his future role for this team, he hopes that it's getting Will Smith to the Hall of Fame, right? Being a guy that can be a backup to Will Smith and that sort of thing. I think that to me was kind of a big window inside just his mind and how he sees himself helping this organization. But at the same token, I'm like, wait a second. I mean, you are an everyday big leaguer. You're going to be a backup catcher at 24, 25, 26. Yeah. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Obviously, you can't play DH. There's someone named Shohei Ohtani there. And if you're not going to be developed in one of the outfielder spots, what are you going to do with the top prospect in your organization? I mean, is he a trade chip? I mean, is there a Will Smith move to third that we don't know about? I mean, he's played some third base, but Will Smith, he's made it very clear he wants to remain at catcher. So it's got to be a very, very difficult conversation for the Dodgers as far as internally what they're going to do about Dalton Rushing's future. Yeah. What would you do about his future, though, with the Dodgers?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could probably put a glove on him, maybe play him at third base if you want to make him a left fielder. I'm not saying he couldn't be a good left fielder. That's not. He has the athletic ability.
That's not where he's premium, right?
Well, he hasn't repped there. So if you want to make him a left fielder, what the one thing that I complain about with the Dodgers is that they go, oh, well, he's a ball player. Go out to left field, grab a glove and head on out there. Yeah. By the way, try to transition from AAA to major leagues, which is hard enough, and then do it playing a completely foreign position. And by the way, if you struggle for a week, Dodgers fans are going to want to throw you out and send you back to Oklahoma City. Those situations are so much more difficult than people get credit for. So All I would ask, as far as asking me what I would do with him, I would keep him as close to the ball as I can. But I would say this: if you think that the only position that he could help you in this organization is left field because of Will Smith and all those situations, then he needs to be playing left field every day right now, because he needs to be getting all of those reps to get him comfortable out there. So that's kind of why I don't see that as the future, but who knows?
Yeah, it's going to be really fascinating, especially if he continues to produce down there. Because look, the truth is, I mean, you're not going to bring up a guy to be a backup catcher that needs everyday at bats, right?
Sure.
I mean, that's just not a plan. But it screams like, man, like, hey, I need to get this opportunity sooner than later. And it just so happens that their top prospect is at a position where they just gave a guy a 10-year deal. So something doesn't make sense here. Something does not make sense here. And no one wants to say that Dalton Rushing is a trade guy just because Andrew Friedman has already said before the season he doesn't want to make trades during the season. So, man, it's really, really fascinating to me. Now, as far as the pitching side, I mean, some debuts we could see this year. Nick Frasso coming back off that shoulder injury. Hopefully he gets his debut this season. Any early impressions from him?
From Nick Frasso, yeah, they're just, of course, his first 2 outings were 2 innings, and he stretched to 3. And the velo was like 92, 93, 94. So there are really no takeaways from Nick Frasso to this point, other than he's just trying. I mean, consider it a rehab outing. So when guys come to Oklahoma City, I see the stat, and I put the stats out there too, but I try to preface it with, these guys could give a crap with, like when Evan Phillips gave up 4 runs and people are going, oh, he had a terrible outing. I'm like, not really. I mean, he was throwing this and he was throwing that, and he didn't really care. He didn't know who the hitter. He doesn't have a scouting report. He's just so. And then the next outing he goes out and goes blank. So Nick Frasso, the way that I evaluate his outings right now is how you would evaluate like a rehab outing from a major leaguer who's really probably not even chasing scouting reports, probably doesn't even know who the hitters are, certainly not trying to max out on velo, not trying to max out on anything. Goal number 1 is just get the ball in the strike zone, throw it south, and when I throw my last pitch, walk off the field intact. That's the takeaway from Nick Frasso. So I think it's more of a rehab type feel to him right now. Shoulders are tough, man. The Tommy John, they've got that down pretty much to a science, but Dodgers don't like shoulders, neither do anybody else. And so that's always a tough deal. So I think he's kind of in rehab mode, if you will.
Yeah, that's what really concerns me about this whole Blake Snell situation after just 2 starts and just where this rotation is going to go. I mean, there's all talk about a 6-man rotation, and I would get asked about a lot. We would break it down, tell you the benefits, the pros and cons of a 6-man rotation. I said, look, this thing is going to figure itself out.
Yeah.
And if that is a problem that you have as far as having that many pitchers to use, then great. But the truth is, now they're in a position where you have to have Tony Gonsolin back in the rotation, and then you're going to have some spot starts. I mean, with so many days where you have games in a row, 13 games in a row, 6 games in a row, you look at the spot start plan this year with Justin Robleski, Landon Ack, and Bobby Miller, it has not gone swimmingly. I mean, what do you do in those situations, and do you think that you still can get the best version of Robleski and Knack and Bobby Miller to varying degrees?
Yeah.
You think that's a strategy that's going to work for them this season when they have to use those spot starts?
Well, if you look at Robleski and Knack and Miller, and you look at what they're doing the same thing in AAA they did at the major league level. They're just not pitching the ball the way they're capable of right now. Bobby Miller's been that way for a while. I've got a couple of different theories on him, but I think he's a ways away in terms of just defining exactly what he wants his pitch mix to be, something that he can execute that doesn't get ambushed, that he can get in the zone. The guy that I would say, and this is kind of where I can't wait for the Dodgers to play tonight. We're talking on a Friday afternoon, so whenever you see this, just know this was Friday afternoon before the Paul Skeens game at Dodger Stadium with Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The thing that frustrated me the most about the bullpen game was I felt like Ben Kasparius has been a starter his whole career. He's got good enough stuff. His fastball metrics are well good enough to go 2 times through a lineup. His slider metrics are off the charts good. He can go through a lineup twice. So what if he gives up 2 or 3 runs? And so what? What if he gets up 4 runs? Score, right? So I felt like Ben Kasparius should have been left in longer. And then I thought the Noah Davis deal should have been Matt Sauer. Matt Sauer that same night through 3 innings in Oklahoma City. And Matt Sauer has been fantastic with Oklahoma City. He's the guy that needs to get the next call, in my opinion. He's on the 40-man. He went to Japan. He's got major league experience. He knows what a major league clubhouse looks like. ERA of 184, whip of 082, average against the 204, and he has exactly one walk in 14.2 innings. So, D-Mac, whenever you ask a guy to come in and spot start, what you asked him to do is put the ball in the strike zone and give your team a chance. That's what Matt Sauer has done.
Yeah, I was shocked. I mean, that was my pick because I knew that Evan Phillips, they were going to have him a day later.
Yeah.
And that was my pick to come up. But they went with Noah Davis, and of course, has not gone his way. Unfortunately, he was put in a tough spot. Extra innings, one pitch. He gave a walk-off. And in the following game, he gave a 3-run home run. I mean, his confidence has got to be pretty shot at this point. But that's one question I had banked to ask Dave Roberts is, hey, Ben Kasperius, when you look at the improvements to that four-seam fastball, the velocity's been up, the spin has been up,
Yes.
just kind of the metrics of it, the shape of his other pitches, everything is trending upward. I remember talking to Benny C during a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, hey, man, like, are you emptying the tank because you're coming out as a reliever, or is this your fastball now? He's like, no, this is my fastball. And I think that he has the confidence of saying, hey, if you built me up and you stretch me out, I could give you 4 or 5 innings. And my whole thing is, if you're going to give Landon Knack that opportunity, you're going to give Justin Robleski that opportunity and Bobby Miller that opportunity, which we know Bobby earned everything he's gotten based on what he did his rookie season, and you're fine with that. I think Ben Kasperius certainly deserves an opportunity to get stretched out. And I think that it's going to get to a point this season, because you followed this team long enough to know that pitchers with premium stuff that throw with higher velocity and higher spin rates, those are the ones that get injured. And those are the ones the Dodgers have, because they know that that's what wins in October. So I wouldn't be shocked too. I love you bringing up Ben Kasperius and the possibility of him being stretched out to give you more innings.
Yeah, and the thing about Ben is that he has invented himself. So there were times to where, like, he was giving up 4, 5, 6 runs in one inning in a double-A outing, and it has not been, there's a saying in minor league baseball, success is not linear. And it certainly has not been linear for Ben Kasperius. So it's been like, okay, well, this is what I'm going to be. Of course, he was the Cal League Pitcher of the Week, and then he got promoted up to High A Great Lakes, and then there was that transition. Then there was a long transition, and a long transition in Double-A to get him on top of his game. And then I kept saying a couple years ago, hey, he's throwing the ball. He has finally invented himself. Ben Kasperius is throwing the ball better than he ever has. And people were like, well, yeah, but he gave up 3 runs. I said, I don't care. That will play itself out. The process is in place. He's throwing the ball well. The fastball metrics are up. The slider is still 7,000 pluses because it's just that good of a pitch. I mean, it's like a 2,700 RPM pitch. And so this is what Ben Kasperius is getting ready to be. And nobody really believed it and people still think he just kind of came out of nowhere. But if you go back to 2023 and just watch his outings, he looked just like he does now back then. It's just, it was unlucky here. It was unlucky there. You had a bad umpire here. It's just baseball, right? And so he's been throwing this way for a long time. And so what I will say about Ben Kasperius, why you're seeing the no fear in Ben, which is probably the best thing that he brings, same with Jack Dreyer, along with the confidence, is because he has failed. And he's failed over and over and over at the minor league level. So he's not scared of failing anymore, because he knows, okay, well, I failed here. Like I messaged Jack Dreyer the other day, hey, man, no big deal. I mean, this happens. His thing was, oh, no worries, bounce back, right? So, I mean, he's not scared of failing because he has, and he knows, okay, I had a rough outing. I'm going to come back and have a good one the next time because I've done this like 25 times already in my minor league process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I remember talking to him too and asking him about just how impactful it was to make that start at Yankee Stadium. The Dodgers didn't win that game, but he gave up 1 run in 2 innings and was on a little Alex Verdugo ground ball after he gave a double and a walk. So it's not like he was out to get rocked and giving up home runs or anything like that. And he told me it was absolutely career changing because when he gets ready to throw, he knows that there's literally nothing in baseball that's bigger than the World Series, pitching for the Dodgers at Yankee Stadium. And he says that every start that he has, every time he makes an appearance, that's always kind of floating around in the back of his mind. And you can kind of sense that confidence. It's like when someone kind of becomes like a made man, and look, he's not a made man, right? I mean, he might not even stay on this roster for the entire season, but little things like that, I think, are why you can kind of trust a guy to kind of take the next step in his career. But other than some of the guys we talked about, is there anyone that Dodgers fans that maybe don't follow AAA should know about that could possibly help this team this year?
Well, as far as the quad, of course, you know the Justin Robleskis, you know the Bobby Millers, you know the Landon Knacks. I'll tell you guys, got off to a rough start, and that's Jared Karros. His first 3 outings, hey, it happens, man. It's baseball. It's the minor league process. I'm just telling you, man. It gets you. It's not linear. He'd had all this success, and then you have a couple of sideways outings. No big deal. Good outing last night, though. 4 innings, gave up a couple of runs. If Jared Karros gets back to his form that he was last year, just a big-time strike thrower, he has the spike curveball that's straight 12-6, and it's really dirty. 92, 94, I think he can probably touch maybe a 95, 96, and a good slider. I think Jared Karros is a guy, as far as pitching-wise, that you could see make it up to the major leagues. And then, obviously, Jackson Ferris, he did a pretty cool story about him. Not cool that the outing didn't go very well, but they chose Clayton Kershaw to go with the AA Tulsa Drillers. And I think probably location, Northwest Arkansas is about 2.5 hours from Tulsa versus hopping on a plane and going to Salt Lake with Oklahoma City. So that's consideration number 1. But 2, I think it was a big deal that Jackson Ferris was going to probably be the starter in that game, but it ended up being Clayton Kershaw starting that game instead. So Jackson Ferris was a piggyback pitcher. They call them piggybacks, like when you have 2 different starters. Like you're supposed to have 2 pitchers that both go like 4 innings, and they cover 8 total. So one of them's called a starter, the other called a piggyback. So I think one of the big reasons why Clayton Kershaw went with Tulsa the other night was because Jackson Ferris was going to throw in that game. And Jackson Ferris got to throw in front of Clayton Kershaw, got to be in the same dugout with him the entire time. And I would just have to think that's going to pay massive dividends for Jackson Ferris. So don't pay attention necessarily to early season stats. His fastball's up to 97. That back foot slider is just ridiculous. So there's just absolutely no doubt about it that if Jackson Ferris starts pitching, to his capabilities, he will knock on the door of the major leagues. He will make it undeniable for him.
Ferris. Okay, Casey, we always got to get you out of here on this. Your hottest Dodgers prospect take right now. You got anything spicy? I know it's early on this season, but any hot Dodgers prospect takes, whether it be a guy that you want to say is a future All-Star, future Hall of Famer that you, after one at bat, you just know it, whatever it may be. What you got for us, Casey?
Well, you got to start with Zaire Hope. Okay. So he is like your hottest prospect. Like if you're to say, which guy do the Dodgers fans need to pay attention to the most, because he has a chance to be like an all-star type player. And I don't like you know me, Doug. I don't like to start saying things about guys till I see them make adjustments at the AA level, because it's just so hard to tell. And so Zaire Hope's at the high level with Great Lakes. So pump your jets from that perspective. But if there was ever a guy you could look at swing metrics, you could look at just the way he lets the ball get deep, the way he hits the ball in certain locations, the way he can hit balls to left field, the way he can hit balls to right field. Zaire Hope, holy cow, he's 3rd in home runs in the Midwest League, which, hey, the Midwest League is hard, man. It's been like 30 degrees every game, right? So he has 4 home runs, so he's 3rd in the league in home runs. He's 3rd in hits, so home runs and hits. So not only is he hitting home runs, he's gathering a lot of hits with 21 hits. He's 6th in slug at 574. He's 8th in OPS at 939. And by the way, he's the fastest Great Lakes Loons ever. This is from John Vicari, one of their play-by-play broadcasters, ever in the history of the organization, which is like 20 years old, something like that, to 19 RBIs. He got to 19 RBIs in 59 at-bats. If there was ever a guy where you said, this guy is can't miss, and I don't ever say that, and I darn sure don't say it till I see him in AA or AAA. But if there was ever a guy you'd say that about, it would be Zaire Hope.
That is incredible stuff. Love to hear that. Yeah, Zaire Hope, already 71 on the top 100 MLB prospects. He jumped on that list. Can't believe the guy is only 20. How versatile was some of the defensive plays he made during spring training. I was talking to a scout with the Dodgers, and I don't know what you think about this, but he told me back in March that he had already passed Josue DePaula as far as the pecking order of Dodgers prospects.
Now, Josue DePaula he has the incredible, like he walks all the time, that kind of deal. And he hits the ball very hard, but they're lower hits. Whereas Zaire Hope, he has that lift at the front of his swing. Yeah. So he gets the ball in the air more. And then also he can play center field at a better clip. I think he's probably a little bit of faster prospect. So the position versatility as far as being able to play all three outfield positions at a higher level, we saw that defensively in spring training for Zaire Hope. And then the ability to impact the ball the same way that Josue DePaula can, but then also get the ball in the air. I think that makes him a better prospect than DePaula.
Interesting stuff. We appreciate the insight. Yeah. By the way, for all the Dodgers fans that have been screaming, D-Mac, why did we trade Michael Busch? I'm like, first of all, he played like a handful of times at third base. Also, the Dodgers have a first baseman, and he just became the first guy to hit a walkout grand slam in the World Series. There was no place for Michael Busch. And then you add the fact you get Zaire Hope and you get Jackson Ferris, two of the guys that we talked about who seems like you're as excited about as any of the prospects in the organization. Really just got to tip your cap to this Dodgers organization. But Casey, we appreciate you joining us as always here on Dodgers Dugout Live. Like I said, after the show, don't walk, run over to Dodgers Daily. If you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell, subscribe to the podcast version, follow him on X. Always great tweets, breaking it down. But Casey, enjoy your weekend. Hopefully the Dodgers get this sweep over the Pirates, the Paul Skeens, Yoshinobu Yamamoto mania. And yeah, man, we'll check in with you very soon.
Hey, let me leave you on this. I wanted to make sure and get to these two guys. Sean Paul Lignon, a 20-year-old for Rancho. If you're in the California area, go watch him pitch. He has 40 strikeouts and 4 walks. That's it. 40 strikeouts and 4 walks. And then also Rancho has Ryan Brown, a young man who had a 70% swing and miss rate on his Vulcan change. So you remember the old fork ball where you took your index finger and middle finger and he split the ball. Well, this is actually the middle finger and the ring finger where you split the ball. He has a Vulcan change that had a 70% swing and miss rate, and he's doing it again. He had 17 strikeouts out of 20 in one clip at Ball State. So I wanted to make sure and get to those two, but yeah.
Awesome stuff. Well, there he goes. He's forgotten more about baseball than most people ever know. The great Casey Porter. And thanks again. And yeah, we'll check with you at some point in the near future, my man.
All right. Thanks, D-Mac.
My man, Casey Porter, always appreciate his time. He's going to be on a bunch of times this year. We always love talking Dodgers prospects, what's going down on the farm. And, of course, he keeps his tabs on the big league club as well. But that's going to do it for this episode of Dodgers Dugout Live. My name is Doug McKain. You can follow me on X and Instagram at DMac_LA. Be ready and tune in for the post-game show tonight right after the game. But that is going to do it, guys. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, hit the like button, and remember that nothing brings together quite like Dodger baseball. And until next time, think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Take me out to the ball game.